Hola, ¿cómo están, my compañeros? Here we have Senator Rand Paul questioning Dr. Anthony Fauci about whether or not he believed it was correct for the NIH to fund gain-of-function research. He will ask this question here in about a minute and a half. You will pose a question to him. And Dr. Fauci will have the audacity to say that the NIH, the National Institute of Health, never funded gain-of-function research. It never, ever allocated funds for gain-of-function. And I will prove the exact opposite as he is speaking.
Dr. Fauci, we don't know whether the pandemic started in a lab in Wuhan or evolved naturally, but we should want to know. 3 million people have died from this pandemic, and that should cause us to explore all possibilities. Instead, government authorities, self-interested in continuing gain-of-function research, say there's nothing to see here. Gain-of-function research, as you know, is juicing up naturally occurring animal viruses to infect humans. To arrive at the truth, the U.S. government should admit that the Wuhan Virology Institute was experimenting to enhance the coronavirus's ability to infect humans. Juicing up superviruses is not new. Scientists in the U.S. have long known how to mutate animal viruses to infect humans. For years, Dr. Ralph Baric, a virologist in the U.S., has been collaborating with Dr. Shi Zhengli of the Wuhan Virology Institute, sharing his discoveries about how to create superviruses. This gain-of-function research has been funded by the NIH. The collaboration between the U.S. and the Wuhan Virology Institute continues. Doctors Baric and Shi worked together to insert bat virus spike protein into the backbone of the deadly SARS virus, and then use this man-made supervirus to infect human airway cells. Think about that for a moment. The SARS virus had a 15% mortality. We're fighting a pandemic that has about a 1% mortality. Can you imagine if a SARS virus that's been juiced up and had viral proteins added to it, to the spike protein, if that were released accidentally? Dr. Fauci, do you still support funding of the NIH funding of the lab in Wuhan?
Senator Paul, with all due respect, you are entirely and completely incorrect that the NIH has not ever and does not now fund gain-of-function research in the Wuhan Institute
Do they fund
of Virology.
Dr. Baric?
We do not fund.
Do you fund Dr. Barrick's gain-of-function research?
Dr. Barrett does not doing gain-of-function research, and if it is, it's according to the guidelines, and it is being conducted in North Carolina, not
You don't think
in
inserting
China.
a bat virus spike protein that he got from the Wuhan Institute into the SARS virus is gain-of-function?
That is
You would
not-
be in the minority because at least 200 scientists have signed a statement from the Cambridge Working Group.
So it seems to be the sticking point for Dr. Fauci is that it happened in North Carolina and not in Wuhan. And I think one way to discover whether or not he's telling the truth is to look into this article a bit further and see who is on this scientific review group. The scientific review group identifies research that may create, transfer, or enhance pandemic potential pathogens as described above. The scientific review officer will record this as an administrative note and instruct the SRG members that the presence of such research in the application will not affect their impact score. Following completion of the SRG review, program officials will review all proposed research being considered for funding to determine if the research meets the scope of the HHS P3CO framework. And if it does, we will work with the applicant, institute, and funding agency staff as appropriate to comply with HHS P3CO framework. It looks like they were willing to work with anybody. They said, we will work with the applicant, institution, and funding agency staff as appropriate. That means that they were open to, they were quite willing to do gain-of-function research outside of the United States, especially it seems that the moratorium was enacted in 2014, as the background right here shows. There's a couple of links here. Let me click on this funding pause. I'm really thinking that it's probably not too much further to discover Wuhan. What's interesting though is that he had scrubbed. They had the article that was originally linking this from the American Society for Microbiologists or Microbials or something like that. It was scrubbed off the internet, and I listed it in the community page. No, well, oh wait, here we are. I'll leave all the links in the description, so feel free to. Funding pause for certain types of gain-of-function research. The purpose of this guide notice is to notify applicants that in accordance with the October 17 White House announcement, the National Institute of Health is instituting a funding pause on the provisions of new funding for certain gain-of-function research projects federal-wide, so that a deliberative process can be undertaken to assess the potential benefit and risk associated with these types of studies. This was on October 17th, 2014. So the page before this was 2017, so 3 years. 3 years after that initial pause. And it seems like they came up with this framework for guiding funding decisions about proposed research involved enhanced potential pandemic pathogens, the HHS P3CO framework. Anyways, it's just the tip of the iceberg. I couldn't imagine that Dr. Fauci just said that he absolutely is adamant that they did not fund gain-of-function research.
Do they fund Dr. Barrick?
You are entirely and completely incorrect that the NIH has not ever and does not now fund gain-of-function research in the Wuhan Institute
Do they
of
fund
Virology.
Dr. Barrick?
We do not fund.
Do you fund Dr. Barrick's gain-of-function research?
Dr. Barrett does not doing gain-of-function research, and if it is, it's according to the guidelines, and it is being conducted in North Carolina, not
You don't think
in
inserting
China.
a bat virus spike protein that he got from the Wuhan Institute into the SARS virus is gain-of-function?
That is
You would
not-
be in the minority because
That is
at least
gain-of-function
200
research. I
scientists
don't know
and
why
some
he's being so
statements from the
disingenuous.
Cambridge Working Group